I'm going to call the meeting to order. All right, I sent everybody a couple of emails. One was the ordinance without the dangerous or potentially dangerous dog section, because I was still trying to word that so that it made sense. So Jane and I finally got that.
Thank you for taking the blame for that.
Yeah, we finally got that worded, so it made a little bit better sense yesterday.
That was all me.
And so the copy that I sent out yesterday, that was the only addition to it, was the dangerous or potentially dangerous dog items. So everything that's in this ordinance that has been added is in red. Everything that we would like to see removed has been bolded and marked out. The only thing that I added to the ordinance, with the exception of the dangerous dog, since our last meeting, was in section 4-41, mistreatment of animals unlawful. Number 12, I modified it to read, it shall be unlawful for any person, owner or possessor, to abandon or forsake any animal within the county. This includes animals being left behind during evacuation periods due to natural disasters.
Amen.
Since we have had that happen more than once, when we had emergency sheltering available, so I did add that. Now, the dangerous dog. So this one's nice and long, but
You would think I'd learn to bring my glasses in here one of these days.
yeah. So Animal Services is responsible for determining if a dog is dangerous, or I'm sorry, potentially dangerous or dangerous. And you see we're referencing the North Carolina General Statute, because a lot of the dangerous dog information, actually all of it I think, comes from the General Statute by the state of North Carolina. I think Animal Services is being pretty lenient here. They're giving the owners 30 days to comply with these items to secure said dangerous dog.
Actually, they're having 30 days to comply after it's been deemed.
Right.
So,
Right. And they can get up to 60 days as long as they're willing to pay for that dog to be housed either at the shelter or at a veterinarian's office.
and can I add one
Please.
thing to that too? Also, if an animal is deemed potentially dangerous or dangerous, they do have the right to appeal that, okay? The appeal process basically works like this. They would ask for an appeal. They have to do it in writing. At that point, we would convene a board, and as we discussed way back when this board was first formed, that this board would potentially be hearing those cases, okay? I would exclude myself from that meeting, obviously, based on the terms of I'm gonna be presenting Animal Services side of the equation. The owner would present their side of the equation, and then the board would deliberate and decide Animal Services is correct or the owner is correct.
I think I got the whole, mine's not reading.
So, if the owner wanted to appeal, and we went through the appeal process, and whoever, the quorum that hears the petition says, yes, we agree with Animal Services, okay? They have the right to a second appeal, okay? That second appeal would go to an actual judge. Now, once the judge has found yay or nay, then you proceed from there.
Now,
okay? Once the judge has found it's signed, sealed, and delivered, there is no more appeals beyond that.
now, when you say that, so that is not in this ordinance, what he just explained.
Now,
That
would-
is when I tell you that I think you have a dangerous dog. You're gonna be handed that information once your dog is declared potentially dangerous or dangerous.
Right.
By
Yeah.
Animal Services, that is like a whole packet, and they have to sign
They
and
have to
say,
sign
I'm
saying
receiving
that
this
they've
from
received
you.
that packet, and it itemizes all that stuff for them,
Right.
tells them how that they can appeal it and what they have to do so. But now, the one thing that they've got to keep in mind is that, you know, if Mr. Evans's dog's in my possession and I've declared it a dangerous dog, and he decides he wants to appeal it, okay? Well, he has 10 days, I think it's 10 days to decide he wants to do that and return that back to me in writing. then I have like so many days to convene this board or quorum of this board to hear it. Then if he decides, okay, well, I don't agree with the board, I wanna go to a judge. Well, we all know how the court system is. It might be 30, 60 days before you get him in front of a judge. Okay, you get him in front of the judge, the whole time the dog's being cared for. But the owner's footing the expense of it. At the shelter, at the owner's expense.
Or a vet's office. Can they go to?
Anybody else?
during
No,
the-
no vet's gonna take them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give them that option, but there's
Right.
not a vet gonna take them under,
Right.
under them circumstances.
Okay.
I don't think there's too many vets out there that would actually let them house the dog there, and it being declared a dangerous dog.
And the reason that that is not, that section or that packet is not in here is because you see how long it has taken us to get these ordinances ready to present to the commissioners. Anytime even any little change that's being made to this ordinance has to be presented to the commissioners. So we don't wanna put something in the ordinance that we may need to say, instead of Animal Welfare Council being the, appeal board, it may be, you know, the board may fall apart and it might be, you know, Mr. Evans is gonna be the, you know, and,
He has to decide all by himself.
right. But you don't wanna have to wait for the commissioners to go through and approve something like that, you know, and go through a long a 2 or 3 month process just to change one sentence.
You gotta give yourself flexibility.
Right, so that's why that whole packet is not in here, these are just the rules. So, everything, and we tried to put it in the best order that we could. So the secure pen, the signage, the sterilization, so the spaying or neutering of the animal.
There she is.
Kelsey. The permanent identification mark, which is gonna be the tattoo and the microchip. And the inspection. All of that pretty much has to be done before the person can get their dog back, because Animal Services has to be able to go to that house and say, okay, your pen's good. You know, you've got your signs up where they need to be. And then the dog, the permanent identification mark, so the tattoo and the microchip, that would be done at the time that the dog was spay-neutered. And so your inspection kind of falls right after all of that happens.
Desperate.
And then,
And
so,
all of that would be in the packet that
Right.
the potentially dangerous dog or dangerous dog's owner would be given. So they would be given all this information and explained, everything to be explained to them.
anytime the potentially dangerous or dangerous dog is off the owner's premises, it must have a harness, not a collar, it needs a harness on, leash, and it needs to have on a muzzle and restrained by a competent adult. You can't have, you know, little 10-year-old Johnny walking your killer dog down the road. The owner cannot give that dog to anybody else. And even if they move, they have to notify Animal Services that they're moving, because they're gonna have to follow those same steps with the secure pen, the signs, all that's gonna have to be done again at the new location, and they'll need to inspect it before they can allow the dog to be moved to that property. Once the dog passes away, we were trying to figure out the best way to do this, because, you know, average Joe isn't gonna have a microchip scanner at home. But, so we put in here that they must notify Animal Services so that they can, if nothing else, go to the house and scan the dog for the chip or check for the tattoo, just to verify that it is the dog, because there are people that will say, yeah, it died, and it really didn't.
Right.
And again, it mentions that the dog can't be given away, sold, traded, placed for adoption, or otherwise transferred. If a dog that has been determined potentially dangerous or dangerous subsequently bites or attacks a person, the dog will be surrendered or seized for euthanasia, and the owner will be cited for the violation. So if your dog's already attacked something or somebody, it's been declared dangerous, you've got all these rules, and it still gets away and it gets somebody again, kills another dog, bites a kid, that's it. And you'll still be fined. We don't have a lot in the county, but we do have,
We've only had a few over the years that we needed stricter rules and regulations in place. But with this day and age, to be honest with you, with the crossbreeding and stuff that's going on out there today, you don't ever know what you're gonna wind up with coming in your county, or being born in your county for that matter. So you know,
And I've
I
seen
know this
pictures of a
sound- I know
child
it
that was
sounds a
attacked and it was
little,
it was
you
bad.
know, they made these sound really, really harsh. And to some degree, they're designed to be harsh because of the situation. Because obviously, if this dog has attacked a person or, you know, viciously attacked and killed, you know, other animals or whatever, and you're declaring it dangerous, you want them to be as strict and rigid as you can be, because you're trying to protect, you know, human as well as animal lives beyond that point.
Right.
So that, you know, so that we, you know, we the county, you know, can honestly say that we did everything within our power to, you know, protect the citizens of said county. You know,
And none of this would ever sneak up on anybody. It's not like suddenly one day you're gonna be like, oh, you're here to seize my dangerous dog.
Exactly.
They've had so much paperwork and so many, you know, here, and there's nothing surprising.
Right.
I mean, you know, I mean, an owner's gonna
They,
be more than aware of the procedures going with, between the packet and,
yeah, and the packet will have everything that's on this. It'll have every item here and then some, cause it goes into greater detail. You know, the ordinance itself says secure pen and it gives a brief description. The packet itself goes into more detail on the guidelines of setting up secure pen. You know,
So the existing ordinance, does it already address dangerous or potentially dangerous?
our existing ordinance didn't have anything in it at all county-wise.
Gotcha.
Now, the state has a statute on it, but, you know, I felt like we needed to put something in our county ordinances, you know, to where we can, you know, say, okay, not only do we have state statute, we have county ordinances that are in place here for this to,
And the particulars of this is pretty consistent with the state.
yes,
Right.
Yes.
Like, for example, number 3, sterilization.
yes.
To me, that seems like that might be one somebody would push back on, but that's in the state statute as well.
Yeah, I didn't bring my little book,
But
I can look it up.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
the thing about it is, you know, you're right, you're probably at some point, you're probably gonna have somebody that wants to push back on that one.
Yeah, somebody
But-
who raises, you know,
Right.
those dogs and sells them or whatever.
But the thing about it is though, that, you know, it's proven fact, veterinarian wise, that an intact animal is more aggressive
oh, yeah.
than a sterilized animal. You know, it's a known fact, you know, so if you're gonna do it, you know, you might as well go whole hog on it and do it right, so that, you know, hopefully you're eliminating some of that aggression to where all these other things over here in conjunction with the elimination of some of the aggression, you know, you won't ever have an incident like we had on 43, which that was a first time offense for that dog, but, you know, what if that dog had bit somebody prior to that in a vicious manner? You know, we kept it 10 days, vaccinated it for rabies and sent it on back home with Miss Kelsey there, and, you know, and then, you know, a year later, randomly this dog attacks and kills a child. You know, we had an incident, several years ago, and thus the potentially dangerous portion of this. We had one several years ago that the dog never left its property, but it would run slam out to the edge of the road, barking and raising sand at this poor old lady across the street every time she'd go to her mailbox. And she complained, and we'd go talk to the owner, and she complained, and we'd go talk to the owner. But technically, the dog wasn't really doing anything wrong. It hadn't left its property. You know, all it was doing was running up to the edge of the property, growling and barking at her. Till the one day that it didn't stop at the property line, and it run slam across the road and hit her, bit her in the back of the leg, knocked her off in the ditch. You know, the bite wasn't horrible, but the skints and the bumps and the bruises from the fall into the ditch was actually worse than the bite itself. But, you know, in all reality, this dog was showing signs of being a dangerous dog the whole time, but there wasn't much we could do about it. Our hands was kind of tied on the potentially dangerous portion of it. at that time. So, you know, we wanna definitely try to make sure that we've got it covered on both sides of the basis to where, you know, and in the breakdown, you know, I'm not gonna be, like, if the dog's potentially dangerous, you're gonna have to build a secure pen and things for it. But if I declared it totally dangerous, meaning that it was a vicious attack or something like that, then in addition to the secure pen, we would require you to do a secondary perimeter around it, so that there's two fences between you and that animal. You know, to make sure that it's double secure, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, but the fear of that dog coming towards me, or even the fear of it attacking me and I not see it, is enough for me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, you know, and we have that question presented to us on a regular basis, you know, my neighbor's dog runs out in the road at me every time I walk down the road, you know, do I have the right to defend myself? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. You know, because you do have the right to defend yourself against that animal. If the animal is truly being aggressive to you, you know, to you and all. The catch on that is that people don't realize, you know, if the dog runs out there at you, you know, into your yard at you, and you go running in the house and pull the door shut behind you, at that point you're secure and safe. If you go back out in the yard and retaliate, then you're in the wrong. You know, so the law, that law's kind of gray there, and a lot of people don't understand that. You know, but you do have the right to protect yourself where you stand, as far as that goes.
Question. Why would anybody, I want an example of why anybody would kick back on sterilization?
Well, as Mr. Evans said, if I've got these high dollar dogs and I'm breeding them, and you come along and tell me I got to have my dog sterilized, there goes the breeding career.
But why would I tell you, you need to sterilize it?
Oh, why would you? Because it cuts back on the aggression of the animal. It helps tone down that aggression.
But I'm saying, why would you have to do that?
If the dog was determined to be a dangerous dog.
Right, I'm
Right.
saying, so it's
Right.
gonna be, a reason for it, my point.
Right, yes,
It
sir,
wouldn't be
yes,
you
sir.
just doing it.
Yes, sir,
Right.
it wouldn't be, I'm
Right.
not
So
gonna
this
go out
is my
across the
point.
county
Right.
randomly and tell you've got to get this dog fixed.
Right.
You would have all those appeals and everything under this ordinance, and that would be the only reason that I'm telling you that you're having it fixed is because we actually had somebody years ago, send in a letter, and that was one of her, things in her letter. I don't know whether you remember that letter or not, but, one of her things was that if a dog bit somebody, it should be sterilized before it was returned. No, if a male dog bit somebody, it should be sterilized before it was returned to the owner.
Then every female dog that goes through the
You know,
bear clip
didn't say, number one, it didn't say anything about a female dog, number one. And number two, you know, it didn't specify, you know, this kind of bite
Right.
or, you know, ripped an arm off bite. It just said if a male dog bit someone, you know, well, Mr. Carmen was sitting at the end of the table when that was read, and I know he was sitting there like this, and he looked up and he said, "Wait a minute." He said, "So if I bite somebody, you gonna cut what off?" "No, ain't happening." Next, you know, and I agreed with him. You know, I didn't feel like that if, you know, a normal circumstance bite, they occur.
Because then chihuahuas would be extinct.
Yeah, right?
You know, I mean, I would have never, the dog that bit me on that arm that day, I mean, it was unprovoked and just, I mean, happened just like that. You know, I would have never asked that owner to have had that dog fixed before he could get it back. But, you know, there's a difference in that kind of bite and a dog literally just viciously attacking someone. And that's what this would cover.
But that's an individual thing, you know, the way you saw it and the way I see it, two different things. We had to fight it out, so we can't get into how you perceive it and how I perceive it.
Right.
But, I mean, we get kickback all the time, and we get kickback in this room, so, I mean, I'll just bring it as a point.
Right.
And I understand about the kickback stuff, but we still gotta do what we gotta do. mean, we have kickbacks and all parts.
And I
of it.
think, and even if we present this to the commissioners next month, I should be able to have it together by then, but I can look at the counties that we reviewed. I think almost every county that has done a separate dangerous dog ordinance, it's in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we'd be the
this
exception
is-
to the rule.
This is one of those things, we didn't reinvent the wheel.
Right.
I mean, we looked at numerous counties across the state and compared apples to apples, you know, and threw the oranges completely out of the
Yeah, cause
picture
I mean, they're all
altogether.
pretty
and,
much the same.
You know, and looked at them comparably across the board, and this is very consistent with most any county across the board.
But let's not, you know, that's good too. But if we can do something that will help other counties, we need to.
Right.
Right, and I think a lot of our ordinances will,
Right,
because
so-
a lot of things that we've added, we haven't seen in other
Right,
places. But the
right.
dangerous dog was, I think that's pretty consistent, because everybody kind of looks at what the state guidelines are, and then, and I hate to say that you kind of know, but,
Yeah.
you know, we had a dog, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago that had attacked and killed another dog, I think, or did it bite a person? And that ended up
Yeah.
biting the child.
Yeah, well, it had bit someone, on its own property and stuff, it bit someone,
Yeah,
and then the owner got it back, and then we had a second offense where it actually bit a child.
and it was
And the child was bad,
bad.
you know, and, you know, even during the 10-day quarantine, I mean, it was obvious that this dog had he had his moments. I mean, he was a sweetheart a lot of times, but he was, you know, he had his moments where he was just kind of like, leave me alone.
Do you want to show us something?
No.
Okay. Does anybody have, so we talked about the dangerous dog briefly, do you have any issues or questions about anything in the ordinance?
Well, on the dangerous dog,
Mm-hmm.
when you're describing everything the pen should have, you don't mention anything about food, water, or,
Yeah, we do.
shade. Where's that at?
Hold on, because I know I put in there about shade, there it is.
Where is it?
The first bullet under secure pen says it shall provide the dog with adequate shelter and shade, that's the last line of it. You see it?
Oh, the third bullet.
No, it's the first
The
bullet.
first bullet.
I mean, we added it again at the third one, saying that adequate shade must be provided if they used it, because we were trying to figure out how to word it, because I didn't understand what Eugene was talking about, but he meant like if you put fence over the top of a 10x10,
Instead of building like a shingled roof over the top
right, you
of
put the
it,
fence over it.
you can put fencing across
So we
it.
added it again, so that they understood that even if it had that kind of top, they still got to put shade over it.
And then anything that applies to any other animal that's referred to in the ordinance would go
Right.
back to the food and water
Right.
that's required.
Right, I mean, that's automatic
kinda
requirement,
goes
it
without
don't,
saying.
you don't have, it don't necessarily have to be worded here. That's
Right.
automatically a requirement back in the first of the
Right.
ordinances, it says that you must provide adequate food and water to an animal.
Just because it's deemed dangerous doesn't mean it.
So you're saying it's
Right.
unnecessary to put it here, even though you're,
We could
Put new
refer to that
requirement.
section if you
Yeah, we
wanted
can, I
to.
can put in
You can
parentheses,
refer to section, whatever.
see section, it's where the definitions are, we
Yeah.
did that somewhere else too.
433.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Gotcha.
But I think we specifically said adequate shelter and adequate shade there is because we're specifically talking about having a dog outside in a 10x10.
And it has to be enclosed, right?
Right, you know, so we're specifically saying you've got to put the dog in this. But in the rest of the ordinance, we're not saying
You have.
you gotta put your dog in a 10x10.
Right.
Does that make sense?
yeah.
But yeah, you could refer back to the definitions to
Yeah,
make sure that.
and I might, that's probably a good idea anyway, because then they'll see the definition of adequate shelter and adequate shade,
Right,
you think?
that's true.
Okay, I'll add that, to that first bullet. Cause that should take care of it.
Section.
433.
Thank you.
See how I worded it everywhere else, I think it just says C.
I just made myself a note, C, section 4-33.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking to see how I had it
I think
worded.
it's C section.
I do
Yeah, on the
too.
next page,
Yeah.
it's C section 4-33.
Okay. So I'll add that before I email you, a final copy.
And on the signage, I'll be honest with you, I beat my head against the wall on that one for several hours. Because I had a lawyer one time told me that if a person got bit by a dog, the first question he asked that person was, did they have a beware of dog sign up? He said, and I'm hoping the answer is yes. He said, because the first thing I'm gonna tell the judge, the jury, or whoever we're in front of, is they knew that dog was mean, said they had a sign up that said, beware a dog. So, you know, I kinda went back and forth of, you know, what do we need this sign to say? Beware a dog, or vicious dog, or what did we want it to say? But in all honesty, I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, well, yeah, we know this dog's mean, so beware of the dog.
Right.
You know, so, you know, we're basically admitting at that point that the dog is mean. And beware a dog sign's easier to find than any other sign out
I was
there.
about to say, it's
Yeah.
easy for them to access, and it also doesn't exclude, you know, it doesn't draw them out, because a lot of people have beware of dogs.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people who don't have dogs put them up so that.
Right, scare people away,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I mean, like, that's not something that's gonna
I'd
be
be like, come on
you
in,
know,
let me show you where the treats
Right.
are.
I mean, you
Not
know,
to-
I mean, you could go, you know, slam over the top with it, you know. I mean, you could do it kind of like a sex offender registry to where it's
Right, it's
available
not
to the
like
public
that,
and,
but
you
yeah.
know, and if I declare your dog dangerous, you got to tell all your neighbors in the neighborhood that the dog's been declared dangerous and stuff
Right.
like that,
But
but,
then you're looking
you
for the
know,
dog to
but,
be,
you know, that's kind of an
mistreated.
invasion of privacy to some degree
Well,
too, so.
and mistreatment of
You
the
know,
animal would be my
you would
concern.
want it,
Yeah.
right, you don't know what the neighbors might do to that
Right.
dog because of it, so,
But it's not really highlighting it in that way. so.
Exactly.
right.
I think
You know,
that's
so the
really-
beware dog sign is a common sign, and it gets the point across, so.
Exactly, and lawyers get happy. with
So I'm gonna
Yeah.
add, the first bullet under secure pen and the third one. I'm gonna add C section 4-33 to both of those. So just can refer them back to the definitions.
Do you think you should add the definition of a dangerous or potentially dangerous dog in the definition?
Oh, yeah, we did
Yes.
take that out, didn't
Yeah,
we?
we-
Yeah, we need to add that back.
yeah, we
I'll
do
take
need-
it from the state.
Right.
Yeah, we do need to add that back.
Thank you.
You are right.
We did forget that, but I'll just take what the state has.
Yeah, I just looked it up,
Which thing, the definition?
the GS 4-, not 4-3, 33, the juvenile statute, 67-41.
Yeah, I looked it up too.
And I did make a couple phone calls, to the two vets here in town. A microchip runs about $50-ish. I think one was 52 and the other one was 55. You know, so it's not like we're asking them to put a, you know, $5,000 tracking device on the dog.
Right.
You know, and the reason that we're asking for that microchip is that, you know, how many solid black pits do we have in Edgecombe County?
Right.
Hundreds, thousands.
And that's a good reason for the microchip and the tattoo.
Right, the microchip and the tattoo is just, it's one of those, especially the microchip. I mean, you know, if you hold your dog and I take that scanner and it goes beep, I've got his number. I mean, there's no denying
Right.
that this is who it's supposed to be.
I wish all vets would start tattooing, especially when they spay.
Yeah,
Because when we get them to shelter, it makes it so much easier to tell
I
if it's,
know,
people are like,
I
is it
do.
fixed? We don't know.
I know.
Then we send them to
Space
have it
Star's like,
spayed.
Right.
And then
You
they're
can
like,
get those microchips at Tractor Supply
You
for less
can,
than 20.
you can,
No, not
but,
for this kind of situation.
but
But not
but
with
the
a
average
dangerous
person, you know, is not gonna put them in. And that's not something
Well,
that,
no, the vet does it.
yeah.
At the, they have a vet that goes to
They
Tractor
do.
Supply.
Right,
There's gotta be a vet that's willing to deal with
yeah.
dangerous
Right.
dog.
You know, and that's the whole situation, you got to, you know, that vet would have to be willing for animal services to bring that dog to
Right.
him, knowing it's been declared a dangerous dog and him microchip
It
it.
just needs to be done during anesthesia.
That was
Exactly.
my whole thing, that if you're gonna have it fixed, do it all at one pop.
Yep,
That way the dog's,
while it's asleep
Under.
and
But
yeah.
Dr. Fung told me when she did my dogs that she preferred to do it
I
when they
do.
were, when they
It's a
were
big
psyched out
needle.
because it was a big needle.
Yeah, I mean, so, and yeah. I don't like to do it when they're awake.
Because they won't like you anymore. Any other questions in that dangerous dog section, Janice? No? Okay, any other questions or issues with any of the rest of the ordinance as it is in front of you?
I make a motion that we present the ordinances with the new changes to the commissioners with those couple of additions that we
I second that
just
motion.
discussed.
All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, all opposed?
I'm opposed because, as an animal advocate who rescues dogs, I'm not advocating for, training animals. Most counties that, there's a lot of counties that have banned training.
Mm-hmm.
And also, question what is in here that, you know, we want to stop the number of dogs that's being killed, the number of cats that's being killed.
Are
What
you
in
referring
this-
to euthanasia?
What in this?
Are you referring to euthanasia?
No, well, if you want to put that,
That's what it is.
well, you can say euthanasia, but it's killed.
Okay.
Anyway, so, I like to be blunt and call it what it is. It's killing.
It's humane though.
Thank you.
Well, it depends on what you use, and that's up to debate too. So question, I don't think heart stick is humane.
Wait, time out. Has
Not a
nothing to do with the
part of
ordinance.
Anyway, what in this ordinance have y'all changed or added that's going to help unwanted cats and dogs from going to the shelter? What's in this ordinance that's going to decrease it? Like,
Give me a suggestion of law that the county can
I
enforce.
think we're getting away from the motion.
No, I wanted it, I
Yeah, but
want,
we're getting
We're
away from
getting
the
away from the
motion.
motion.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Point
not-
of
we
order.
can-
We're getting away from the motion, we need to move on, that has
thank
nothing
you,
to do
yeah,
with
that's
the
true,
motion.
thank you.
well,
Thank
I'm
nothing to do with the
stating
motion.
two
you.
reasons
So,
I'm against
Thank
it.
you.
Point of order, point of order.
Number
Take control of the meeting.
one-
Point
Now,
of
what-
order. Point of
There's
order.
n-
No,
we
no,
could
no.
have added spaying and
You
neutering.
objected, you objected, you did not, you voted nay to the ordinance, and so we're just gonna record that you voted nay.
Well, I want it to be on
And-
record the two reasons I'm voting nay.
Okay.
Because there's nothing in here, I'm against training animals. And there's nothing in here about spaying and neutering that's gonna help decrease the population of dogs and cats being killed.
And
So
that's
that's
something we
the-
adequately discussed at previous meetings.
Yes, it has.
So, but we will denote that.
Okay. So, Mr. Evans, I will add, motion carried. I will add those minor changes to, do you want me to email this to you in Word or PDF?
Word, please.
Okay, because the fonts are a little, I tried to fix them as I was going, but, you
And I
know,
think I can put you a clearer.
probably, because that's, yeah, that was exported in PDF, so, but I'll send it to you in Word.
Yeah, that one kind of looks like it's almost
like
And I'll
Canada
leave-
or something.
over on itself.
I know, right? I'm gonna leave everything that's in red as it is,
Mhm.
so that when you give it to the commissioners, they'll see very easily what is there.
Mhm.
And I know that this is a county animal welfare council, but, just to let everybody on this council know that once we get these passed, hopefully by the commissioners, I'll be going to the Tarboro Town Council meeting and asking that they incorporate these into their town ordinances as well.
This would be a good time to do it because we're working on ordinances too.
Right. I think once we get the county to do it, it'll be easy to just go to the town council and,
And I know,
So here you go,
and I
just
know
add your
there'll be
leash
some changes
law.
because the town has a leash law
Right.
that the county doesn't have, and
you can't
you
have,
can't have
Something about
pigs and things
chickens.
in town.
Gotta be in a
There's
pen or
chicken
something.
ordinance in
Yeah,
town.
no roosters.
you know, so.
no roosters really.
That's what, well, maybe not.
There's a rooster
Tarboro.
behind our house, and he doesn't know what time of day to promote him.
They usually
Yeah.
don't. There's a whole lot of chickens back there.
There's a whole lot of chickens back there.
And, my cousin is really upset about it. She keeps calling. But it seems like the people got ESP or something, they moving the chickens around or something.
Maybe the chickens are smart.
You probably got called from Rocky Mount too, because they just beginning the animal services council.
Oh, really?
I did hear that yesterday that they were looking to do something.
Oh, yeah, they already
Good.
started, I'm
Good.
just trying to get numbers, they haven't.
Good, they definitely need it. Okay, that was,
Let me ask this
yes
question.
ma'am.
It should be something against, a dog being chained up in the yard and it's in heat. And
That is actually in state law.
Mhm.
That is illegal based on state law.
Illegal to do what? What was it?
Good dog's in heat and she can't get them. She on the chain and they, dogs just coming.
Oh,
Yep. In state law, they're supposed to be, how's it worded, contained or,
Yeah, the female has to be contained in a manner that the male cannot
Right.
get to her.
No access.
yeah, when she's in estrus.
Yeah, as we say in Edgecombe County, when she in heat.
Right.
Mhm.
But that actually is in the ordinance and it's in state law as well. So I'd suggest you speak with your town animal control officer about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually one we did actually change. It was on there already, the owner fails to confine a female dog while in heat.
And we can actually issue
Yeah,
a
cause I think we did
citation
say
and make
in
them
heat
put that
instead
dog
of estrus, cause we didn't think,
in a containment.
Yeah.
Is the third page.
Yeah, because I had a rescue lady years ago, I'll never forget it, because it caught me completely off guard. Sweet little old lady, and I never would have thought she'd have said what she said.
she is not a sweet little old lady.
She is too, a sweet little old lady.
No,
and
she
she-
got you fooled.
And she looked at me and she said, there ought to be a law against that dog being chained out there in the yard being raped by all these other dogs. And it just completely threw me for a
Well,
loop.
she, I mean, well, it kinda is, unfortunately.
Yeah, it
Then
just
people
threw me
think
for a
that
loop. I didn't know what to say to her when
makes a
she said that day. So,
But yeah, she is not a sweet little old lady. Well, she kinda is, but, yeah, she's
she
got
has her
her,
rare moments,
Yeah, she
but
got her ways.
she's a sweet little old lady most of the time.
an old lady.
So,
I know, I told her I couldn't wait to be her age, so I could just start telling people exactly what I thought, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, when you get to a certain age, you can just say what you want to say and nobody
Right.
thinks about it.
I think I decided that was 42.
Mm.
I think I decided that was male.
Okay.
So that was everything that, that we're gonna be adding to the ordinances. I'm excited, we finally got
That is
these
exciting.
passed. This has been almost a year,
I know.
piece of work. I think that this is gonna make a lot of difference for a lot of dogs in the county if we get these passed. Things that I know that, Ms. Thompson has called complaints to animal services about as far as dogs not having adequate shade or different things that we don't have a law for. Now, there's nothing in the ordinance now, we're gonna have something now that'll back them to say, it's right here. And I can take your animal or I can fine you. Cause there's a lot of things that we've added that were not in there, so
Yeah.
I think this is a really good move for the county and it's gonna make the towns look pretty sad.
I don't know, now, I ain't read theirs.
Well, yeah, I haven't read theirs in a
so
long time either, but,
I can't say
But
that.
y'all can, share.
I mean, but
Right.
Eugene and I have looked at multiple counties and their ordinances, and these are actually pretty darn good.
Good.
We might say so ourselves, but,
And I'm so
Yeah.
excited to do it before it gets super hot.
Right.
and that's the other thing, cause now we've got the secure water,
Mm-hmm.
vessel and, the shade and, exactly.
It'll give you leverage in the summer to
Mhm.
Right.
prevent a lot of
Right.
miserable animals.
Yeah, cause a lot of the barking is because they're miserable.
And like,
I'd bark.
And hopefully,
Me too.
and hopefully at the point of us getting them passed, hopefully the town can look at them and maybe incorporate to where, where we're kind of operating on a little closer playing field, as far as being able to assist each other
Right.
in the future too, so.
I think these are good, and even though, that does still allow chaining of animals, we've given some pretty specific, restrictions on that, which we currently don't have either, so, yeah. I think it's a good start. I think that this is, sort of taking baby steps with the commissioners and, because we're not gonna get, everything we want right out the gate, so I think this is a good start, and, once we get these passed and they see that it's actually making a difference, it's helping, then we can,
Exactly.
Yep.
Because we got to be able to implement this, and we have the resources to implement these changes.
exactly.
And then we can always move forward to other
Right.
changes.
And, and we do have, a spaying program at the shelter that we offer to people. You know, when they adopt from us, it's automatic, you know, they have to have it spayed or neutered, and I dare say, I think that's helping.
I think so, you know, and the one thing about it is that, you know, I can tell you that if you adopt a county dog, which the town doesn't do, just a little information for you. You know, if I adopt a dog out, it's property of Edgecombe County. And so, you know, I have the right per Edgecombe County to tell you that if you want to adopt this animal, you must have it fixed. Okay? And we have a program that I can say, you know, hey, if you want to get that dog, that mama dog that keeps having these puppies fixed, I can help you do that, and it won't cost you hardly anything, if anything at all. You know, so I can offer it to you. But the average citizen out there, you know, we're never gonna be in a position, I don't think anybody anywhere across this state will ever be in a position to go out to the average citizen and tell them you must have that animal fixed. You know, now there's counties out there that, you know, that'll say, okay, well, Mr. Evans, you didn't have your dog fixed, you're gonna pay $25 tax on the dog. You know, Kelsey, you had yours fixed, yours is 10. You know, there's counties out there that do stuff like that to give the incentive to have it done, you know, but to just outright say you gotta have it done to have the dog in the county. You know,
And a lot of the people that,
unfortunately, we're not at that stage in this
a lot of
world
people that
today.
do call with multiple litters of puppies. There was a guy not too long ago in Maxfield that had 2 mama dogs, 2 litters of puppies, with 16 puppies. The rescue that took the puppies actually covered the cost of the spay for the mama dogs. Yeah, it was fun getting them in the car, because they had never been around anybody but him. And he was like, oh my God, you're
So we
you're
do have,
touching
we
them,
do
you
have
gotta get my
that
dog along. I was like, oh
ability
no.
to, you know,
The dog's
try to
gonna
get
get
some of
fixed.
these mama dogs and stuff fixed.
Yeah, like it's
So that
doing
we're
with me.
cutting down on some of our intake numbers. Yeah, cats is just, you know,
And I think like in town, you know, they've got all these feral cat colonies, like out there by Bojangles. I honestly think that a lot of people dump cats out there too. So they're throwing cats into a colony that aren't fixed. You know, I've already forgotten the county again, had the rabid, feral cat this week.
Onslow.
Thank you.
Oh,
Got a red, well, I mean, they give them a 1-year rabies shot and let them go.
And that one may have never had one at all either, so, but yeah. You know, and it's one of those deals where, you know, if somebody's got feral cats and they want them fixed, you know, I'll run as many as I can through the program if they'll keep them at their house and feed them.
Right.
You know,
But
but
you
in
gotta make
all
sure you don't have
honesty,
neighbors that are gonna be complaining and calling.
in all honesty, most
The
people
next
that
week.
they're calling for one reason, and that's they want them gone, period. No ifs, ands, and buts about it.
And I'll give you an example of Edgecombe County, perfect example. Guy came to the shelter a few weeks ago to reclaim his cat. I offered him a free spay for that cat. He said, I don't want it fixed. I got a lot of property. I wanted to have kittens so they could chase mice around the barn. And I told him, if you knew how many animals were euthanized in this
Showed
county
you
every
the chart?
year, you would feel differently. No, mine ain't gonna end up in the shelter. Okay.
Okey dokey, schmucky.
And offered him a free spay for that cat. And he refused.
You wanna be like, well, I'll give you 10 spayed cats that can go and derodentize your property if that's
Yep.
what you would
Nope.
like.
Nope, he wanted his cat to have kittens.
Oh,
You know, so I mean, it's a mindset thing. I mean, you know, the world is progressing, but you still got those folks out there that, you know, have the old ways still in the mindset, and, you know, I mean,
And I can't
you know,
tell the other
animal
examples, got the
services
camera on.
is a new term, you know, it's progressed, you know, it was, back in the day, it was dog catcher. You know,
Dog
and it's,
warden.
and, you know, dog warden and those kind of terms, you know. Now it's animal services and, you know, animal control, animal services and those kind of things. You know, the agency's progressing, but, you know, I've got houses here in Edgecombe County that I can pull up in the yard right now and somebody in that house is gonna say, dog catcher's out here. I mean, it's just, that's the mindset that some of the older
And I won't-
generation have, and
I won't
they're
say
teaching it to
exactly
the
what he
younger
said,
ones.
because he's got the camera on.
But I tell you what, Let's do. talk
Let's
about it
adjourn.
After the meeting, we're
Okay.
on the agenda.
Eugene, when it comes to me calling about
that's done, we're done.
animals not having water,
What's the next steps?
how many times do I have to keep calling before the owner is made to secure it so the bucket won't keep getting turned over?
As soon as we can get this through the commissioners.
It's not in the ordinance today.
At
has
this
to be
point,
passed first.
all we can do to them is tell them they've got to keep water to the dog. And I can strongly suggest and offer them all kind of suggestions of how to do it. But there's, up until this is passed, I can't force anybody to tie a bucket down in a manner that it can't be turned over.
Well, a lot of them could just use a bungee cord.
I totally agree.
But until this is passed, which is why it's so exciting to get it done
Right,
before
it
it's
can't be
back on the
enforced.
hot outside, then we can enforce it.
Yep.
Which is.
I can strongly suggest
Progress.
things, but in all reality, if they choose not to do it, all I can do is unfortunately keep going back and you know, and telling them over and over and over to keep the water out there to the dog.
Right.
Can't you add something about them making them clean up the feces?
It says
It's in here.
clean. Yeah, that's in the
Feces.
ordinance.
It's in here.
It's in there,
Did you read it?
it's in there.
It's in here.
Oh, we, went over that so long ago,
Yeah.
I done forgot about the
Yeah.
feces.
It's in there, yeah, it's in there.
Um,
I'm telling you, we tried to cover every base humanly possible that could come up within reason.
do you mind, when you have a chance, referencing back to that original list to see what we were gonna work on next
Sure.
after ordinances? Because it has been a while.
You know, and as far as ordinances go, I know there was one section that we didn't touch,
Oh, yeah, the
you
exotic
know,
animals.
which was the exotics.
Oh, that's what we
And,
need to
you
do
know, and
next,
that's
I guess.
something.
That's what needs to be done.
Yeah, that's what
You know,
Yeah,
that's
it's
something that
never-
we're gonna have to take, it's gonna take a little bit of time because, you know, that's one of those that, you know, prime example. You know, I don't know how many of you saw it on Facebook or wherever it was at, cause I don't do Facebook, but it was showed to me. There is an infamous, yeah,
I'm not famous.
yeah, not so famous, and he gets in trouble on a regular basis, African serval
Oh, God.
in
That's been-
Kill Devil
yep.
Heels
No, he's in Virginia Beach now.
that has escaped and has been on the loose since October that has showed himself in Virginia Beach
From Kitty Hawk,
from Kitty Hawk.
an African serval.
He's a great big cat.
You know where I've only seen those? I've told Kat this before. In Africa, where they should stay.
Yeah.
That's where I've
Okay.
seen the servals.
Yeah.
And I don't know that
But
they're,
in
apparently
Africa.
he has been
Stay
known
in
to escape from time to time, and has been known to wipe out a chicken or two in his day.
Gosh, yes.
Not to mention all the squirrels and birds and stuff that he kills on a regular basis.
I don't think they
But
will catch
usually
him
when
in a
he
trap.
escapes,
I really don't.
apparently he gets
They're
caught
smart
pretty
over
quick
there.
and
Well,
gets
he's been
back
on his
home.
own for so long.
This time he's been
And
gone
if he
since
can eat
October,
small rodents to survive.
and he has showed himself in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Is it about the size of a bobcat or bigger?
It's actually a little bigger than a bobcat,
A
I
little
think,
bigger.
based on what I've read on them. I've never actually laid eyes on one.
You
Played
go to
with them
Virginia
before.
Beach, right?
Yeah.
That's
Catch
right.
glimpse, right? Maybe
That'd be
Apparently he's
interesting
been
to get on
spotted a lot.
Trail cam, that would be some fun stuff.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it?
Well, apparently he has a tracking collar on, but it's not working.
Yeah, the battery died. I think it said he'd been missing for like 3 days when the battery died.
Dang. See, nobody should own those unless you
Oh.
are a zoo.
Yeah, he's tall rascal.
Like he can climb up it.
And
Or
everything
they
I've
live
read about
out.
servals,
That's where they're at.
they've got to have like some really strong enclosures because they will get out.
They can chew through the wire, I
Oh,
mean,
they're
they're,
smart
yeah.
and tough, and like I say, it's like
'Cause
a
we had a
fox
lady
and a
from
cat combined and
another
made a dog-like
state called.
cat.
Mm.
It's kind
It
of
was
like
last summer, I think, and she wanted to know if she needed a permit to get an African serval, and I was like, let me call you back. I didn't know, I had to Google it.
Yeah,
Yeah, what
And-
did USDA say about that? Because that would be their thing, wouldn't it?
But we started
You
reading
can
the
get permits
regulations
for
on it. I mean, you got to have like a kiddie pool as a litter box for these things.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like, yes.
That sounds
It's,
fun, right?
yeah, so,
Curious why.
you know, that's gonna be one of those areas that we're gonna have to really put some thought in.
Yep.
You know,
So that's gonna be our agenda topic for next month, is starting to dig into,
Yeah, so if I could suggest, and this based on just hearing conversation, wild and exotic animals,
Mhm.
discussion about, as you brought up, Ms. Thompson, about, you know, handling, the dead cats, what we're doing now, what we should or shouldn't be doing with them. And then I would also suggest, talking about once, these new ordinances are passed, if they're passed, a plan for how we can get the word out about it, how we educate and
Yeah.
make people aware of the changes.
Definitely.
So I think those are 3 things that'll keep you busy over next week.
Yes,
So
sir.
we need a copy of the policies and procedures,
For,
because they said the selling of cats is in policies and procedures.
I'm not familiar with the.
That's,
Even if it is, I'm assuming it's in your policy,
that's a county thing that's been going on since before my time.
so we don't even know where it is in writing, if anywhere.
I'm not sure.
There's probably a contract.
I thought you said
Yeah.
you and Eugene just changed the policies and procedures recently.
No, I did
No.
not.
You said it at one of the meetings, it's on the tape.
No, I told you
And
that
you
we were
said you-
changing the animals, the owner surrender form
You said you and Eugene had just made some changes.
to the owner surrender form.
We've
Which is
not,
probably
we've not
a part
even,
of-
yeah, we've not
I've
even.
not
So-
The
seen their
sheriff,
policies
the
and
sheriff, the
procedures.
sheriff is in the process of going through policies and procedures for every department that's in the sheriff's office umbrella, which
So
will
you don't,
include
you're
us at
saying you
some
don't
point.
have a copy of policies and procedures?
There's one in the shelter, yes, somewhere. I'd have to find it in the filing cabinet. But there's one, yes.
Eric, can you get us a copy of the policies
I
and
don't
procedures?
have, that's the sheriff's policy and procedure for
Well,
the
can you
sheriff's
bring
office.
I
one?
will ask for one, yes.
Okay,
But if you're talking about, are
because,
you looking for, is there something in there about that specifically?
well, I don't know what's in there.
Right, and I don't know, I
But they
haven't seen it.
said at the last meeting, they didn't want, because the killing of the selling of killed cats was in policies and procedures.
No, we said that would be a policy and procedures,
Change,
not
right.
an ordinance issue.
And I said I thought it should be in the ordinance.
Right, and we disagreed.
So why are we still having that discussion? Well, I
That's why
wanna
I-
know, if it's not a part of the ordinance what we, have been elected to do,
What
why is it
Mr.
keep
Evans,
coming up?
what Mr. Evans said was, we will discuss whether, as a council, next month, we feel it should be taken to the commissioners to do or not to do.
But we done had that discussion before.
Well, not for it to go to the commissioners, so we'll take a
It's
vote
not
and
a-
we'll,
well,
we'll do it next
It's not a part of the ordinance.
Right.
Right.
The ordinances
Right.
are done,
Right,
they're
so
ready
we
to go
can,
to sit
we
down.
can even do that
Right.
tonight, I see. I'm saying, we
Committees.
don't need to keep coming up every meeting.
right.
I mean, have we gotta
The
wait till,
commissioners, I brought this up
Have
to
we gotta
the
wait?
commissioners.
I'm sorry.
have we gotta wait to vote on it? About, something that's a policy, not an ordinance?
That's up to y'all.
I
just
brought
encourage you
this
to
up
follow
to
y'all.
the
that-
commissioner.
I make a motion that we deal with ordinance and not policy.
I make
Yeah,
a
the
motion,
policy,
we
we are
kick out
not-
the agitator
Excuse me.
like Rocky Mount did.
No, they didn't.
No,
Yes,
no, no,
they
no,
did.
no, 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 ma'am,
Ladies
no, ma'am.
and gentlemen,
That does not belong here.
No.
Look, the plan is, you all will discuss that. That'll be a next topic for discussion. I think it's a worthy discussion to have. Then y'all can express either way how you feel about it. Wild and exotic animals and then talking about
I
Asher
agree.
County.
I agree.
My
And we need to see the
suggestion,
policies and procedures before we go into a.
But I don't think we're at that point yet.
Right.
And I think
No.
the commissioners, when I was kept going every month complaining,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted us to cover all animal issues.
They
That's
do,
right.
but we can't do it in,
can't do it all in.
I mean, look how long it took us to get these ordinance changes done.
And if we focus, we can in a
Thank
more
you.
timely fashion.
Thank you.
But
Well, we
do
can't
need to
discuss
go-
it until we get a copy of it.
Again, I don't know, somehow I think a misunderstanding has been, I don't think, if you want to specifically talk about, the county has had a practice of selling dead cat carcasses to a certain company, which we have an agreement with at a certain price. That's not really, you don't have to see a policy or procedure. If you want to discuss that, if you have an opinion about that, you can discuss that. If the board wants to make a recommendation to the commissioners to don't do that no more, or
And the
we're
commissioners
okay with
can
doing.
make that, they can vote.
Yeah, that's not,
Well, if we're discussing animal issues, I think policies and procedures should be a part of the discussion.
I don't
And we can't
dispute,
discuss it until we see it.
I don't dispute that, but we're not there yet. We just said that for next month, we were gonna talk about the cats, exotic animals, and,
And getting the word out about the new.
yeah, get the word out about the
And
new
how-
ordinance changes.
How we're gonna let it be known
We
in the
can't keep
county
hopping.
about the new.
We're not gonna get
ordinances.
anywhere if we keep hopping around. We've got to look at the original items on our list that everybody thought were important and go from there. And this was the number one thing on the list, was the ordinances. And it's like Mr. Evans said, you know, we've got to figure out, once the commissioners pass these, we've got to have a plan in place. As soon as they say yes, how are people gonna know about these changes? I mean, they're not gonna go to the county's website just, you know, on a whim and read ordinances, so there's other things that have to be done first. It's not that it's not gonna get done eventually, but look how long it took to do this. But bringing up things that aren't relevant to this isn't getting us anywhere any faster.
Cause we, again, with the time to be able to get out there, cause everybody's gonna be like, well, I don't have to do anything different this summer for my dog.
Right, oh yeah, you do.
But if we get that
Right.
information out there, you know,
Right.
those buckets of water that are knocked over,
Right,
we can do something about
Right.
it. So, you know.
so to me, and this is
that's
just
saving
my
those
opinion,
animals.
I'm more concerned about a living animal's welfare than I am a dead cat carcass, I'm sorry, but I am. I'm more worried about that dog sitting out there with no water. So to me, things like this are gonna come first.
And I agree, living animals should come first.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we should ban chaining and enact spaying and neutering. Or else you're just gonna kill more
Find the
cats.
money, find the money.
You're just gonna kill more cats.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we have discussed
I agree.
and voted on our ordinances to take them to the commissioner. I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting for
I
tonight.
second.
I think Mr. Dancy had a
Oh, sorry.
question first, though.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
For the record, again, I want some clarity from the commissioners. What we are to work on, because I am not going to sit here every meeting and allow the narrative to be changed, and then you're talking about new members coming on. This will be forever going.
Mhm.
We need to know what we are here to do. Now, if that's a part of it, that's fine. But I'm assuming we was here for ordinance.
We were initially, and remember we had
Well,
the
no,
three
no,
things.
let me correct that. The charge from the commissioners was not specific to the ordinance.
Right,
No, I ain't talking about from
Right.
them, I'm talking about from us, that's what we decided on.
Right, right.
was the
So
number
the,
one
the
thing.
charge from, and it says, Animal Welfare Advisory Council is a committee created by the board with the purpose of providing advice on animal welfare matters. So
Right.
that's
And-
very broad.
right.
So
But I'm
as a
saying-
group,
Right,
you all, and it's to have good function, you know,
right.
you decided a set of topics that you were gonna start out working on. Ordinance was at the top of
So
it.
you got the topic, is that in there for us to continue to keep talking about euthanasia? Is that in the topics?
That
Yeah,
you all
yeah,
those
discussed.
top three that we had at the
Um,
very beginning.
No, it wasn't in the topic.
So that's where I'm going, and
Right.
if there's a problem with that, then that's fine, if I'm incorrect. But I'm saying, let's stick to what we chose to do.
There were only two topics that got multiple responses. When I asked you all, pick your
Right.
top three, that was education and public awareness and ordinances. The rest of them was just,
One-offs, or, yeah.
yeah, you had budget, shelter facility, budget and staffing, got more than one response. And then it was just varied topics, well-being of animals and their owners, public health and the health of animals and citizens, animal livestock handling by emergency personnel, vital condition scoring of livestock, map of farms in the counties, ban chaining, stop killing animals was one of the responses, policies and procedures was one of the.
So I think based on that list, that what we have said for next month is to look at the wildlife, which is the, not wildlife. Thank you. That section of the ordinance that we took out of what we're gonna present, because that is a whole nother fair. That, education,
Of getting education on.
yeah,
getting
education about
this-
the new ordinance, right?
Right, educating on the new
So we'll have a
ordinance.
plan, so as soon as they hopefully get it passed, then we're ready to go. And,
And I don't have a problem with discussing anything later on. But I'm
Right.
just saying right now,
right,
we need to stick to what we
Right.
said we were gonna do.
Right.
That's
and
no
that,
problem.
and that's
I
what,
have no
and that's where we
problem.
are. That's where we are.
And also, please, let's just limit a lot of off-topic discussion. Come in, we can go home. We worked all day. I mean, I know y'all passionate.
Right.
And I am too, about whatever I do.
Mhm.
But please, please.
You keep complaining about being here, you don't have to be here, you can resign.
I wish I could just pop you.
Oh, like.
I make that motion again, if we
Me,
resign, but if we
So-
adjourn.
Second,
Meeting.
I second.
I wish I could just pop poppy.
Oh yeah, next meeting, do we have a guess on a date? Let's see.
Well, Mr. Dancy, I wish you would pop me,
Lord,
because this girl fights back.
Lord.
This
Now go
is
ahead and try.
Quickly unprofessional.
Is everybody good with the
He's
Tuesday?
threatening me.
Just no.
Right.
Don't tell me to
Where
shut
we
up after he just said he wants to pop me.
Where we
And
at?
let's cool down.
at? We're at April
Is all I'm
16th.
We can take it right outside.
Oh my goodness.
Help me, Lord.
Now, I will tell y'all, we've got some terms that are ending, and the commissioners are not gonna want to keep, reappointing people who are gonna be disruptive to a meeting. I think everybody's opinion is valuable, but no matter how valuable your opinions are, they're not gonna want to reappoint someone who's disruptive to the meeting. We can't get anything done like that. That's just how it is, and I'm not gonna keep coming to a meeting to have to hear stuff like that.
And I'm going to assume, and I know what assume means, but you will be the one to go to the commissioners to say, these are the people that are up for reappointment, and give them your opinion.
Well, if these kind of things keep coming up, and I'm not pointing this at one particular person because it's coming from multiple directions, but, if these things keep coming up, I will absolutely tell the commission, we cannot have a functional meeting because we constantly have to stop and deal with this kind of stuff. If this kind of conversation wants to go on Facebook, out in the public, on the street, that's you grown folks. I can't tell you not to do that. But for all of us to give of our time to sit around this table, to get some really good stuff done, and to constantly have to stop and deal with that, it's uncalled for.
I agree.
It's uncalled for. Then we need to stop doing that. We gotta stop doing that.
I asked the question because when you had your papers out over there, whatever, I thought you had something relevant with the newspaper, but your purpose of bringing them is so that he could see them. See, that's the sort of thing that disturbs me.
No, my purpose is to bring these
Mhm.
so Eric can see all the complaints about him in Rocky Mount.
Well,
And
it's still
I sat here and I underlined all of them,
Yeah,
so he can see.
but that was what we're doing.
personal. Look, that has something to do with this commission.
All right,
Yes, it
question,
is.
does Tuesday night work better or
Thursday
Thursday
night.
nights
So
work better?
everybody's good with
So
Tuesday
everybody's good with the
nights? Yeah.
Tuesday night meetings?
Yes.
Okay.
How does, May the 21st look for everybody? Mr. Evans, I think you probably got the worst calendar out of any of us.
Sorry, let me go grab that real quick.
And I'm sorry, my son linked like everybody else.
Yeah, and I didn't catch your email, and Eugene was
Yes,
I
like,
did.
So that.
Yeah, he
She
called
sent it and I'm sitting there looking and I'm like,
Yeah.
you sent that suddenly and it come back. She's like, yeah, and I said, well, it says right there, she's got a Gmail
he
account.
did,
Mhm.
And-
It's
and
still
she's like-
open,
And I was
because I
like,
need to have my internet in my
oh.
house, but
because I totally, yeah,
everybody have problems so much.
I
So
totally
let's
missed
try
it.
to go ahead and set May and June if we can.
Okay,
That way we're at least 2 months ahead of this thing.
May 21st, I can potentially be here, I just might be, full travel tired.
May the what?
21st is what we're looking
21st
at.
is what we're looking
My-
at. Hold on.
tired, I was like, why? Why would you be
My
travel
niece
tired?
is graduating,
Oh,
so she's in
fun.
Kansas City, so I'm flying out.
Mm.
Is that date good for you? Okay,
There.
and then for
Yeah, it's in
June,
Missouri.
All right, so we're doing the 21st of May.
yes, at 6. And then for June, do we want to look at the 18th or 25th is the week of Memorial Day, so I
Yeah,
guess we
let's-
want to back it up to the
yeah,
18th.
The 18th would be, month.
Memorial Day.
Hmm?
I think it's June.
Oh, I
Yeah.
did, never mind, I'm an idiot, never mind, yeah,
yeah,
June.
May 28th would be Memorial Day week.
Yeah,
Yeah, June 18th,
I won't bust in.
that's basically a month.
Yeah, that would be about a month. Does June 18th work for everybody?
Mhm.
Okay, June the 18th at 6 o'clock.
I can't make it, sorry.
That's okay. We'll let you slide every once in a while.
Okay.
I mean, if they too think good, how about, what about the 11th? I mean, if it's good for everybody, I mean.
June is our summer months
Okay,
for,
so in a-
4-H,
in a
so
day.
it's kind of
Okay,
just
in a
crazy.
day.
Oh, yeah, you just gotta,
Okay.
she's super busy.
I'm super busy.
Okay, so the 21st and the 18th we have, and, I'll just, you send the email out, let us know whether to be here or on the second floor.
We'll just plan to continue to meet here,
Okay.
because I don't have to schedule this with anybody.
Okay.
Sometimes they have a meeting on the second floor. so.
Yeah, I'm down there and
Anyway,
that's what
I saw your
She
text,
called me, she
when you
called
walked
me.
in the
I
room.
text her,
Cause when yeah, I
I'm in
didn't
the
hear it.
building. I'm here, where y'all at?
She was texting me, I was like, once I email you this in Word, if you see anything that you need me to change or reword or whatever, just let me know.
All right.
I tried to stick with, I tried to use shall and, you know, the
Working on all
the
of
formal, the way it is in the existing ordinance, I was trying to leave it kind of,
Will you be able to be at the May meeting?
yes, sir.
Okay.
That's the first Monday.
Mhm. All of you are welcome to come. I would encourage you to come, especially for the June meeting. For May,
This is
it'll be
public.
very brief, you know,
May
we'll
one.
say, I'll say,
It'll
here's
be
the
The
recommendation.
7th.
And then the request will be
No,
for
wait a
them to
minute.
call the meeting, call the
There's one
public
Monday night,
hearing in June.
Probably Tuesday.
So when's the,
The
May
sixth.
meeting?
The first Monday in May.
Which will be May
The
6th.
sixth,
Yep.
that's right.
Okay, so the first commissioners meeting,
And then in
Mhm.
June,
And like I said, you'll see there'll be little to no discussion on it in May. I'm just gonna be
is
asking,
May sixth,
May sixth.
and,
And then the actual.
What time is that?
7 o'clock,
7.
and where's that again?
second floor, commissioner's room.
Second floor.
And then in
May
June,
was the
it'll be
sixth,
June
right?
the 7th.
May 1 is the 6th.
okay.
I won't be able to make the 6th.
Now, when is the decision gonna be made about, the people who want to continue on the committee and the new people who want to, the people who want to come on the council and the new people that want to,
Yeah, so there are some seats that expired either this past month, either in March or April. I can't remember which ones they were. So those will go in May.
I think I have one that's expiring, I believe Ms. Thompson's is expiring.
is that gonna be at the May Commissioners
That'll be at
meeting?
the May Commissioners meeting.
And there were a couple more, and I can't remember who they were. Yeah, you were expiring, that's right.
And I know, I think you said earlier that those 3 that were mentioned just now, they've all,
Expressed that they would like
Expressed
to.
they want to.
Wait a minute, the May Commissioners meeting is May the sixth,
yes,
First
Okay.
Monday.
and when's the June one? June third?
I
the
think.
I
3rd.
could've sworn you read it on the fourth, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you did,
I did not, I wrote it on the 3rd.
okay.
But now I wouldn't put it past me to write it on the 4th, so that's the reason I opened it to look.
So, let's see, Ms. Thompson, yours was, April, Kathy, April, Camilla's April, and Claire and Kelsey, both of y'all's in May. So we will have those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up for reappointment, appointment or reappointment. So now, I have not heard from, Claire. And I don't know if she's still interested or not. I mean, the commissioners can appoint either way, regardless
Right.
if you say you want to still be on or not.
Well, I
But
actually
they will want to
saw,
know, does that person want to continue
I
to?
saw her husband, when was the thing downtown, couple weekends ago?
Sure,
What,
We had the rabies
Oh, yeah,
clinic,
Oh,
yeah.
the
okay.
6th.
I saw Bruce and he was surprised that she hadn't been lately, cause I was asking him some questions from a
Yeah,
law
but y'all-
enforcement standpoint, so.
It seems like every time y'all have something going on downtown, on a Saturday, I'm stuck at the shelter at a rabies clinic. I don't know how I managed to do that every time.
I still made it to the
It's like-
Poblano's truck.
Now, what position on the council is Claire filling?
I think it's an at-large.
At large, I
Yeah, I
believe.
think
So
so.
Claire's at large.
I think so.
And when does her term come up?
May.
Put that right there.
He just told you, April.
Was it April or May?
No, she was
May.
May with
May.
Yeah, that's
She was
right,
May
she was with you.
With you.
Yep.
It was May. It was May.
I was listening.
You were listening.
Were you really paying attention?
I read it and I don't even remember what it
That was me all.
Glad I'm not the only one that does that. Yep.
was. Yeah, so she is at-large. Claire is an at-large. So Kathy, Camilla's Claire at-large, Kelsey representing livestock, Ms. Thompson, Animal Rescue Shelter.
You send it to us in an email too, though, right?
I did.
Yeah, you did.
Mhm.
Cause I printed it off. That's the ordinances.
I make a motion.
I read it, transferred it right over into Mr.
That's what
Evans'
it
file.
I think we did that already.
We did. Motion to adjourn?
I I've
You already-
already made it.
Already,
Well, I'm trying. Meeting adjourned.
Reminder that we've adjourned.
Yeah, remember, we adjourned already.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yay!
Really?
Yes.
I remember she was a little girl in church.